Mercedes Kaestner-Varnado is an American professional wrestler currently signed with WWE under the ring name, Sasha Banks, where she is also a former NXT Women's Champion. Prior to signing with WWE, she wrestled on the independent circuit, most notably for Chaotic Wrestling, for which she is a former Chaotic Wrestling Women's Champion. Professional wrestling career Chaotic Wrestling Kaestner-Varnado started her wrestling career in Chaotic Wrestling, where she also was trained. She made her in-ring debut, under the ring name Mercedes KV, on October 1, 2010 in an Intergender tag team match, where she teamed with Nikki Rogers in a losing effort to Alexis and Danny KV, and Rogers quickly formed an alliance, teaming together regularly and accompanying each other to ringside. On October 22, Mercedes lost her debut singles match to Danny E., and lost a rematch to him on November 13. On January 7, 2011, KV earned her first victory when she and Rogers defeated Alexis and Mistress Belmont in a tag team match. On February 11, KV took part in a 5-woman gauntlet match to determine the inaugural Chaotic Wrestling Women's Champion, but was unsuccessful. She continued competing in singles matches throughout the remainder of 2011, and on December 2, KV defeated Alexis in an I Quit match to win the Chaotic Wrestling Women's Championship for the first time. KV made her first successful title defense against Barbie on January 6. KV faced Luscious Latasha with the championship on the line on January 27, where KV successfully defended the title. KV successfully defended Women's Championship against Alexis in a rematch. She then successfully defended the Women's Championship twice against Nikki Rogers. On June 1, KV defeated Alexis, Barbie and Mistress Belmont in a Fatal Fury Euroway match to retain the championship. Following her win, KV became the longest reigning Chaotic Wrestling Women's Champion in history by breaking Alexis's previous record of 182 days. KV went on to defend and successfully retain the championship against Barbie on June 24, against Aida Marie on July 20, and on August 17 against Casey Ray. KV made her final appearance for Chaotic Wrestling on August 18, where she lost to Ivy Fit in a non-title match. On August 18, the Chaotic Wrestling Women's Championship was declared vacant after Kaestner-Varnado signed a contract with WWE, ending her reign at 260 days. Other promotions On August 8, 2010, KV made her debut in New England Championship Wrestling, teaming with Ivy to defeat the team of Ariel and Sami Lane. She returned to the promotion on September 4, 2011, again teaming with Ivy, defeating Mistress Belmont and Vida Scott. On September 23, KV defeated Mistress Belmont in a singles match. KV once again returned to the promotion on July 14, 2012 at the Red White and Bruised event, where she was defeated by Adriana by counter Euro out. KV, under the ring name Miss Mercedes, debuted for National Wrestling Alliance on November 19, 2010, where she faced Julian Starr in a losing effort. On the following 2 nights, Mercedes defeated Cheek Ali and Nick Fahrenheit in singles matches. Mercedes began to feud with the Great Cheyenne, losing to her on several occasions. On August 9, she faced Arlene in a singles match, where Mercedes emerged victorious. WWE NXT. In June 2012, Kaestner-Varnado participated in a WWE tryout camp, and on August 18, it was announced that she had been signed to a contract. She was assigned to WWE NXT, WWE's developmental territory, where she adopted the ring name Sasha Banks. She made her televised debut on NXT on December 12, 2012, losing to Paige. Banks' first televised win on NXT was on the January 23, 2013 episode against Alicia Fox. Banks then entered a storyline where she received letters from a secret admirer, who was eventually revealed to be Audrey Marie, who returned and attacked Banks on the February 20 episode of NXT, due to Marie's jealousy of Banks' success. Marie went on to defeat Banks in a match later that episode. Banks' feud with Marie came to an end on the April 3 episode of NXT, when Banks teamed with Paige to defeat Marie and Summer Rae. On the June 19 episode of NXT, Banks competed in the NXT Women's Championship tournament to determine the inaugural champion, but lost to Summer Rae in the first round. After weeks of influence by Summer Rae to make herself relevant, Banks was defeated by the NXT Women's Champion Paige on the September 11 episode of NXT. After the match, Paige attempted to console Banks, leading to Banks attacking Paige. 2 weeks later, Banks defeated Bayley, while accompanied by Rae. After the match, Banks cut a promo with Rae and debuted a new gimmick as the Boss. Banks and Rae, who dubbed themselves the BFFs, faced Paige and Emma on the October 16 episode of NXT, where they emerged victorious. On the November 13 episode of NXT, the BFFs defeated Bayley and Charlotte in a tag team match, when Charlotte attacked Bayley and aligned herself with Banks and Rae. In mid-January 2014, as Rae moved up to WWE's main roster, Banks and Charlotte began a rivalry with Bayley, who had aligned herself with Natalya, and lost in both singles and tag team matches. On April 6, Banks made an appearance at WrestleMania XXX, as a part of Triple H's entrance. In May, Banks entered a tournament for the vacant NXT Women's Championship, defeating Bayley in the first round, but losing to Natalya in the semi-finals. On the July 3 episode of NXT, Banks and Charlotte defeated Bayley and Becky Lynch. After the match, Charlotte left Banks to be attacked by Bayley, with Banks later disbanding the BFFs in a backstage segment. On the August 14 episode of NXT, Banks lost to Bayley in a match to determine the number one contender to the NXT Women's Championship. At NXT TakeOver, Fatal 4-Way, Banks attacked Bayley after her title match with Charlotte, before Charlotte stopped her. Becky Lynch turned on Bayley and aligned herself with Banks on the October 23 episode of NXT, after Banks defeated Bayley in a singles match. Banks promptly began feuding with women's champion Charlotte, leading to a match between the two at NXT TakeOver, Evolution with Charlotte's championship on the line, which Banks lost. She received a rematch on the December 25 episode of NXT, where she was once again unsuccessful. Banks first appeared on WWE's main roster on the December 30, 2014 episode of Main Event, where she lost to Charlotte in a non-title match. On January 21, 2015, Banks received another title match against Charlotte, which she lost after Becky Lynch attacked Charlotte, causing a disqualification, which led to dissension between Banks and Lynch. On February 11, at NXT TakeOver, Rival, Banks won the NXT Women's Championship by pinning Charlotte in a fatal four-way match that also involved Lynch and Bayley. Banks successfully retained her championship against Charlotte in a rematch on the March 4 episode of NXT, and against Alexa Bliss on March 25. At NXT TakeOver, Unstoppable on May 20, Banks defended and retained the title against Becky Lynch. On the July 8 episode of NXT, Banks teamed with Charlotte to defeat Emma and Dana Brooke. After the match, Charlotte challenged Banks to an NXT Women's Championship match, which Banks accepted. They had their championship match the following week on the July 15 episode of NXT, in which Banks retained the championship. Afterwards, the two shared a hug and Charlotte raised Banks's hand as a sign of respect. At NXT TakeOver, Brooklyn, Banks lost the NXT Women's Championship to Bayley, ending her reign at 192 days. After the match, Banks celebrated with Bayley and former rivals Becky Lynch and Charlotte. On the September 16 episode of NXT, General Manager William Regal announced that Bayley would defend the title against Banks in the main event of NXT TakeOver, Respect, in the first ever women's 30-minute Iron Man match in WWE history. At the event on October 7, Bayley defeated Banks, scoring the win with 3 falls to 2. Divas Revolution. Team BAD, Banks made her official debut on the July 13, 2015 episode of Raw along with Charlotte and Becky Lynch, after Stephanie McMahon called for a revolution in the WWE Divas division. While Lynch and Charlotte allied with Paige, who was feuding with Team Bella, Banks would ally with Naomi and Tamina, who later dubbed themselves as Team BAD, leading to a brawl between the three teams. In her Pia Euroview debut, on July 19, at Battleground, Banks competed in a triple Euro threat match against Charlotte and Brie Bella, which Charlotte won. Banks later went on to defeat Paige by submission on the July 20 episode of Raw, in a tag team match where Banks teamed with Naomi for the first time, and again on the July 27 episode of Raw in a singles match. On the August 17 episode of Raw, Banks defeated WWE Divas champion Nikki Bella by submission in a non-title match. On the August 31 episode of Raw, Banks participated in the first ever Divas No. 1 Contenders Beat the Clock Challenge, in which she fought Paige to a time limit draw and Charlotte was named the No. 1 contender. Following this, Banks began a rivalry with Paige and defeated her twice on the September 7 and 14 episodes of Raw, and fought to a no contest on the September 10 episode of SmackDown. Personal life: Kaestner-Varnado is a cousin of Snoop Dogg. She is a fan of K-pop music and the anime Sailor Moon. Kaestner-Varnado cites Eddie Guerrero as her favorite wrestler, and she was in attendance at Guerrero's memorial episode of Raw on November 14, 2005 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. She also revealed that she was unaware that Guerrero had passed before she arrived at the arena. In wrestling finishing moves, as Sasha Banks, bankrupt a Euro 2013 a Euro 2014. Used as a signature move thereafter, Banks' statement a Euro 2014 a Euro present. As Mercedes KV, roundhouse kick, wheelbarrow bulldog. Signature moves, diving double knee drop, to an opponent trapped in the turnbuckles, high knee, to a cornered opponent, Japanese arm drag, monkey flip, multiple forehand chops, multiple pinning variations, crucifix, roll-up, sometimes while bridging, small package, wheelbarrow victory roll. Reverse chinlock with Bodai scissors, springboard arm drag, straight jacket, sometimes preceded by a double knee backbreaker, suicide dive, superplex, tilt-a-whirl head scissors takedown. Nicknames: The Boss. Entrance themes: Sky is the Limit by CFO Dollar, Amazing by CFO Dollar featuring Naomi. Championships and accomplishments: Chaotic Wrestling Women's Championship. Independent Wrestling Entertainment, IWE Women's Championship. Ring Wars Carolina, RWC No Limits Championship. WWE NXT Women's Championship. References. External links. Sasha Banks's profile on WWE.com, Sasha Banks on Facebook, Sasha Banks on Twitter, Online World of Wrestling profile, Cage Match profile.